3 months ago I made a video ranking the bosses in Sifu from weakest to hardest, and I thought today was hard time I actually revisited this list because some bosses have been reworked in the master difficulty, and yeah, without further ado, let's see what the new list is going to be. I'm Jisoo and welcome to more Sifu. Oh, and full disclosure, since the fight against Yang involves fighting him without using your focus attacks, which can be a very big part in how you defeat a boss, I decided to go against each boss without using any focus. So yes, I've been fighting them equally, and let's see together who actually is the strongest and who is the weakest. Let's go. In the previous video I made about the bosses, I ranked Shan, the fighter, the weakest, and I'm sad to announce that unfortunately Shan is a keeper because yes, he is still the weakest, and for some reason, for some unknown reasons, it feels like he actually got worse, or maybe I got better, or maybe it's a little bit of both. I got better and he got worse. But as of right now, almost feels like his fighting against Shan is not a challenge. He can be easily countered because his animations are they take so much time that by the time he actually moves, all you have to do is input back fist and he's done. Don't get me wrong, back fist is a very strong skill you can use against pretty much any enemies in the game, but the problem with Shan is that you use it way too much against him. Like, you don't have to do anything, you can just hold your ground, stand in one spot, do not move, and just have your finger on heavy, and the moment you see him move, you unleash that move. It is so broken, and the fact that it is so effective, even in the new difficulty, I feel like this is a missed opportunity, because yes, all the bosses have been reworked, have been tweaked, but it feels like Shan, just having a super attack doesn't make a boss automatically hard, and that's what you see with Shan. He just have that one move, and that's it. There is no mix-up potential, and you can see that move coming from a mile away, and that is if you don't interrupt him before he actually does anything. And that's why Shan is the weakest. He is easily punishable even when you don't want to hit him. He is the most fun boss to parry because it's easy, and again, he is slow even in his second phase, and I'm so sorry for Shan. I feel like he deserves more, and I was hoping the difficulty was going to make him stronger, but it didn't. It actually made him worse. Pray for Shan. Coming in at number 2 is another keeper, because I believe Grandma Jinfeng was also the second easiest boss in my previous video, but Jinfeng actually had some significant improvement. The one thing very hard about Jinfeng is actually closing the distance. You know, she does a very good job at keeping you away, and before it didn't actually matter because she was doing that in a very bad way. She was easily readable, easily predictable, but now in the master difficulty she had a very dangerous attack she can do sometimes, which is a bong. You know, it's like that very high move she can do with her, I don't know what to call her weapon, but it does a lot of damage, and that's why honestly I feel like Jinfeng is already an improvement over Shan. She does way more damage, and actually she punishes you effectively. I never felt like I was in danger whenever I would get hit by Shan, but when Grandma Jinfeng hits you, oh, you feel it coming. So more than ever, she's very good at keeping you away, but also she is very easy to parry, especially in her first phase when you don't have to worry about that grab attack she does. Yes, she hits pretty hard, but it's also so easy to, once you understand her patterns, because Grandma Jinfeng still has a pattern. It could be going from 2 mids to that one boink to the sweep. Even the sweep is so easily readable because again, you can see her animation. And full disclosure, when it comes to the bosses in the master difficulty, they reward you for reacting over anticipating. It means that you have to be there the whole time, and you don't want to try to guess what they're going to do next. You want to react to what they're going to do, and with Jinfeng it works perfectly because her animations are also kind of slow. You can see them coming, and if you find that sweet spot, that's very good distance, you can even afford to just parry every single one of her moves. And her second phase is actually easier than the first one for the simple reason that she tends to go more often in close quarter combat, which is very good for you because then you can easily input your back fist and stun her 9 times out of 10 out of any single animation she would try to go for. It's like Shan, but you know, it's like the risk and the reward are, you know, they are kind of balanced. But when it comes to Shan, there is no risk, only reward. So long story short, even if you don't have your focus attacks, even if you don't have your back face, you can pretty much take down Jinfeng because she's not the fastest, you know. And the moment you close the gap is the moment she is in serious danger, because then you can easily punish her. Even I noticed that she doesn't do as much damage when you are up close and personal as opposed to very far away. So the moment you actually get close to her, it's very good for you in every kind of ways. So Grandma Jinfeng, yes, she has improved, but not so much. But the difference with Shan and Jinfeng is that the fight is actually satisfying. The whole time you're there, it's like you're having fun, as opposed to being a boring fight. It's actually a very rewarding and very exciting fight. This is why she's the second weakest boss, but not the least fun. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with what they did with Jinfeng. They can definitely give her some more mix-up potentials, but as of right now, where she's at, it's really nice. Well, good for you, Grandma, and please spare her. She deserves to be spared. She once held the title of the most lethal, most dangerous, most feared boss in the game, and today it's such a shame to find out that Kuroki is no longer Kuroki. She's just a shallow version of what she could have been, of what she once was. And I'm going to tell you why. The scariest thing about Kuroki is to be her first phase, because it was so hard to predict what she was going to do, but it felt like it got severely nerfed. And if you were struggling with the first phase before, you're definitely going to have an easier time, but if you actually mastered her first phase before, you're going to cruise, sometimes even without getting hit a single time through her first phase. And I understand why they would actually try to nerf her as opposed to buffing her, because she was already really hard. But I would have just loved if they just left her as she was and just improved on her second phase, because yes, her second phase is where she actually shines, because now, wow, I never thought I would say this, but her second phase is actually more dangerous than the first one. So it throws away the whole narrative about her twin sister being, you know, the weakest. And yeah, this is where the real challenge is at. In her first phase, she is basically Kuroki, the one you used to fight. But her second phase is where she actually shines, especially when she gets close to you. The first phase is still problematic, especially because you cannot afford to take that cheap damage, otherwise she's going to slowly but surely kill you. But also, you can afford to be aggressive with her and actually allow yourself to fight very close to her as opposed to just running around. And the difference with her first and second phase is that you do not want to actually fight her up close and personal, for the simple reason that her mix-up potential is by far one of the hardest to deal with out of all the bosses. And it shows, like, you can tell you're going to die 9 times out of 10 when she gets too close to you. Her moves are less readable, and it actually favors reaction again over anticipation. But also, she does a lot of damage and she can punish you very easily, especially when you get swept. Because yes, she can throw her kunais at you while you're on the ground, and it does massive damage, and you can actually die from that if you are already low on health. But the reason why I did say that she has the craziest mix-up potential in the game out of all the bosses, but the reason why she's not ranked higher is because you can stop that from happening. You can stop her and keep her away if you have Crouch Punch. Crouch Punch is the most useful skill you're going to need against Kuroki, because you can stop her right there and prevent her from doing any kind of mix-up altogether. So the fact that she is stripped from the one thing which makes the second phase hard makes the entire fight not as hard. But if you don't use Crouch Punch, you're definitely going to have a hard time unless you can perfectly parry and, you know, react to what she's going to do. And also, she has that dash, that super fast dash she can do sometimes when she's very far away from you. The twist is that now she can fake it, but also you have time to react to it if you don't panic. and it makes the fight way more easier when when you use crouch punch and when you can react in time to her dash. So yes, she is strong, but she's also easily, she can easily be encountered. And yeah, Kuroki is no longer the queen she used to be. She's still strong, she can still kill you, especially if you are old, she can still kill you, but not as much as she used to. I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite happy about that one. I'm quite happy that my boy, Fajar, aka Child Murderer, is actually the one who got the most improvement out of all the bosses. And the way they actually did that is so genuine, because Fajar, he got hands now. Actually no, he got hands and he got feet now, because before it used to be so easy to punish Fajar, but now Fajar actually punishes you so much. Like every time I go for a run, I always fear Fajar out of any other boss, because he can end you so fast. It's actually crazy. So I talked about reacting over anticipating, but Fajar actually takes it to a whole new level, because now your timing it has to be pitch perfect, because he's going to punish you and you are going to, it hurts. It's actually surprising that Fajar actually hurts more than Shan. And there is little to no chi to actually handle him. His 50-50 mix-up is one of the deadliest. I'll say arguably the second deadliest in the game when you forget about Kuroki's, because on top of just being just random, it's random as fuck. Okay, but also it does a lot of damage, especially that unblockable. He has he has two unblockable he has to watch out for, and the second one is cancer. He can deal so much damage that walking into a fight, I kid you not, every time I started a run, especially when I wasn't able to use anything other than my skills, no focus, no weapons, that's when you actually see his full potential. You do not want to stay too close to him. You don't want to be swept, and every time you get hit by that, that mid, oh boy, the damage is unreal. Oh yeah, Fajar, hands down the most improved boss, and every single time you go for a run, he is not the kind of boss you can take for granted. More than ever, he shines, and he actually proves why he's actually, Yang, he's like his handyman. But now we know why he chose him, because oh boy, I love this guy. He can hurt. Fajar for the win. When it comes to the hardest or the easiest, it's very subjective, and it depends on what kind of player you are and what kind of, what your playstyle is, because my hardest may be your easiest, and this is why I would like down below to let me know what you think your list would be, because I feel like sometimes it feels like Fajar might be actually harder than Yang, but the reason why 9 times, I'll say 6 times out of 10, I would put Yang higher is simply because out of the two, Yang is the one who is going to punish you more effectively. And if you've ever done, a max age run, you will know exactly what I'm talking about, because it feels like the moment you make a mistake, actually, if I had to summarize the fight against Yang in one sentence, it'll be this one. NANI?! Yes, the fight against Yang is a battle of attrition, and you have to be there the whole time, the moment. I swear I had runs where I didn't take any damage whatsoever for the entirety of the fight, and in 5 seconds I lost the fight because I blinked or because I made something I shouldn't have done. And Yang is the best when it comes to doing that. Whether you receive that uppercut or that hook intercept, you have every single punch you throw has to be measured. You don't want to just fight, just throw punches for the sake of throwing punches, and you're going to learn it the hard way, because you're going to get punished every single time. Yang is not unbeatable. He is not like super strong or OP. He is actually the best boss I've ever thought in the video game, because he actually rewards you for being there, for actually reacting and not making mistakes. And he actually also has input reading, meaning that he responds sometimes based on your input, as opposed to, you know, having a set, you know, like you can actually predict what he's going to do all the time. No, you actually have to be there the whole time. You can be sure that if you go against Yang 10 times, 6 times out of 10 is going to be a different fight. You're not going to die necessarily for like 6 times, but all the outcomes are always going to be different depending on how you tackle that fight. You have to be there, and if you want actually to, if you have to kill him, mind you, you have to be there for 3 to 4 minutes. It's 4 minutes where you're not allowed to blink, you're not allowed to breathe. You have to be there the whole time, and this is why it's, for me personally, it's actually the most fun, other than being the hardest, because of the reason I listed. You cannot make a single mistake. Other bosses, they may allow you to make mistakes. Even Jinfeng, though she's a heavy hitter, she will allow you to make some mistakes. But Yang, nah, you're not allowed to make certain mistakes. If you made those, you're dead. If you blink, you dead. If you throw punches, you dead. If you try to guess whether he's going to go for a low or high, you dead. If you try to hit him while he's going to for you know, the hook intercept, you receive that punch in the face, you stand, you dead. Like it feels like every time you go against Yang, it's like Death Simulator. Dead. And that's what I love about this guy. Every single encounter feels different. I will say though, if in the Disciple difficulty you were able to handle the fight, you would have an easier time in the Master difficulty, because it's not that different, and the ways you punish him are still the same. The one thing which actually makes a difference is that he can no longer get stunned. So before it was possible to do that, but now in the Master difficulty you cannot stun him no matter what you do. So yes, his jaw is now stronger, tougher than Chris Rock's, and it shows, because yeah, there is no cheap way to victory. You have to fight him and win, and it is so exciting and so rewarding when you actually do it. And yeah, Yang is the strongest, and I'm happy he's there because he deserves it. He should be in his prime, and I'm happy he actually can show that he is. I have to add that the Master difficulty has been very fun, and I love how slow clap. I loved the approach to increasing difficulty, because all too often in video games, all we see is that more difficulty. I mean, the devs associate difficulty with giving insane damage or just buffing the bosses to the point it takes like too many hits to kill them. But I love how slow clap did that. The bosses felt new, even though they were not, and they didn't have to fight with minions or people, you know, people to help them during the fight. No, just some little tweaks to keep us challenged, and I love that about the game, and I wish they will do that and keep doing that for a long time, because let's face it, Sifu is a fun game, but sometimes it feels like there's not much to do. So thank you guys for watching, and let me know down below what you think your list would be, and yeah. Bye bye, and I will see you soon.